I've loved the game as far back as I can remember. I loved baseball. As a youth, I played it, and it came a time when I couldn't play, didn't have the credentials to coach, so I got into umpiring. And during that umpiring time, why I have had some interesting experiences, which I'll share with you in a moment. But I just love the game of baseball, which reminds me of a game. Satan goes to God and he says, God, let's have a baseball game. And God says, Satan, you can't possibly win. I've got all the good players. Satan said, but I got the umpires. Maybe he's going to do that. One of the first things I want to share with you is the positive experience I had. I got a phone call from Branch Rickey Jr. And he was president of the American Association AAA Baseball League. And he offered me an opportunity to fill in for the umpires. Now what happens is a lot of times the AAA umpires will go to the major leagues and work vacations, and for whatever reason they can't be there, and so you have to have a fill-in umpire. Well, of course I was excited about that opportunity, but what really excited me was I was speaking to Branch Rickey Jr. himself. Now his father, Branch Rickey, as a lot of you'll know, was the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers back in the 40s and 50s. And he signed a future Hall of Famer by the name of Jackie Robinson to a contract. He integrated the game of baseball. Now you got to keep in mind that this was 20-some years before the Civil Rights Movement ever took place. It took a lot of courage for that man to do that. Now I didn't get to talk to him, which I would have loved to have done. But I got to talk to his son, and that was more exciting to me than getting to work in the American Association. But to get to the on-field thing, one of the first games I worked at Oklahoma City, they were playing the New Orleans Zephyrs, and everything had been going good. But let me set the stage for you, for some of you that don't know. We're using a three-man crew. You've got a man that works the plate, you've got an umpire at first base, and an umpire at third base. This may seem elementary to some of you, but some of you may not know. So anyway, we were in the top of the 8th inning, and everything went smooth. And there was 2 outs, and there was nobody on base. And New Orleans had a left-hand batter at the plate. And let me say this: my experience at this point had been at the Division I level. Division I level, you might have 2 players that can really run, really motor. On an outside, you might have 3. But let me tell you, these AAA ball players, they can all run. They've got strong arms. They're just a phone call away from playing in the majors. Well, this guy hit a shot down the first base line. I mean, he blistered it. Now, Bobby Jones was the first baseman for the Oklahoma City 89ers at that time. He later became the manager and managed successfully for many years. I don't know how he done it, but he dove for that baseball. And it just ticked off the end of his glove and rolled just a few feet beyond first base. Well, I started my college trot from behind third base because my position at this point was, you're going to have a runner on first, I'll be out in the middle of the infield. So as I was doing my college trot to get out in the middle of the field, I look up and he's rounding first base. He's a blur. This guy is going 90 miles an hour into second. Well, Bobby Jones picks up the ball, and he throws about a 100-mile-an-hour fastball down to the shortstop, and there is a bang-bang play that I don't have a clue what took place. I'm 60 feet away, and I don't have any idea. Now, the coaches and managers on bang-bang plays, they normally won't come out on you unless you're out of position. Well, let me tell you, 60 feet away is not good position. And I didn't have any idea at all whether he's out or whether he's safe. So it runs through my mind, I've got to make a call. That's my call. So it runs through my mind, well, the 89ers are up about 5 or 6 runs. It's the 8th inning. People are ready to go home. I'm going to ring him up. So I call him out. Well, he's standing on the bag, the base runner I just called out, and that was the 3rd out, and the 89ers leave the field. And he's standing there giving me that stare, you know, about what a great guy I am, and I'll give you a Christmas card. So anyway, when the game is over and we're in the umpire's dressing room, Angel Hernandez who's now a major league umpire, has been for several years, he said, "Hey, Bob, you know that call at second base?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know, there's only a few games left in the season." I said, "Yeah." He said, "That guy would have set an American Association record for doubles had he been called safe." And I said, "Well, I had no clue that was the situation, but the only thing I can tell you is I don't know whether he's out safe or indifferent." But from that point on, I'd never used that college trot when I went on the field. If you go down and watch the Oklahoma City Dodgers now and watch the umpires, they run. I mean, they run every play. And now I know why. Because they're dealing with guys that can really, really motor. But another positive thing that happened to me in the early 80s, the professional umpires don't like to work the plate in exhibition games. They get enough of that during the regular year, so they don't do it. So I get to work the plate. And it's Philadelphia Phillies and the 89ers. And at that time, the 89ers were the farm team for the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, they were a world championship team in the 80s. Had Mike Schmidt, had Greg Luzinski, Richie Hebner, David Johnson, who later went on and managed the Atlanta Braves, had Tug McGraw, had Jim Cott, had a guy by the name of Pete Rose. I mean, they had one heck of a ball club. And so that was a thrill. And also, I got to work the Texas Rangers behind the plate. And what made that interesting was that on the Ranger roster, there was two college players that I'd worked during their collegiate days. One of them was Bobby Witt, that pitched for OU, and the other one was Pete Incaviglia, that played at Oklahoma State. So that was fun. But it seemed like getting into the college game, if you talk to any umpire that's worked for a number of years, there's always one team, and Terry Chief will tell you, he can probably identify one team, and he didn't like to umpire work either. But there's always one team where crazy things seem to happen. You don't understand it, but they just do. Well, my nemesis was the Rice Owls out of Southwest Conference. It seemed like every time I got on the field with them, something goofy took place. Well, we were Texas Tech, and Rice Owl had a real good ball club, and they were fighting Texas and Arkansas for the conference championship. And it was the middle innings, and there was a couple outs, and Rice had a runner on third, and he got picked off third. Well, he's in a rundown. Well, I'm working the plate, which is home plate. I'm working it, so I've got that end of the rundown. Third base umpire's got the other end of the rundown. Well, the base runner goes sliding back into the bag, and I see him going back in there, and all of a sudden I hear something, one of the worst things I've ever heard. He misses him that much with a tag. And my partner, the third base umpire, who'll go nameless, he called him out. And I'm standing there, and David Hall, who's the coach of Rice, he was coaching third. I'm standing there, and I'm thinking, don't look at him, because he saw the same thing I did, you know, and I'm trying to figure out how to get out of that. Well, like a deer in headlights, I make eye contact with him. Here he comes. And he said, how in the world can he be safe? And the only thing I could think of to tell David was, David, you saw the play. Yeah, I saw the play. How do you call him out? Well, David, now you saw the play. Well, by this time, David's getting into my ancestry and everything else. And we end up going on with the ball game. I'm happy to say that Rice went ahead and won that ball game. Well, 3 weeks later, I'm scheduled to work at the University of Arkansas. 3-game series, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. I look at the schedule, and guess who they're playing? Rice. Well, the first 2 games go great. I mean, there's no major problems or anything, and I've got the third game behind the plate, which is a rubber game. They've split. Friday and Saturday they split. And these are big ball games for the conference title. Well, I'm back there, and it's in the middle innings somewhere. I can't tell you exactly the inning, but Rice has got 2 outs, and they got 2 runners on board. And this big first baseman for Rice, boy, he cranks one. There wasn't any doubt he was going to leave the yard. The only doubt was, is it going to be fair or foul? Well, my 2 umpires, one of them's out in the middle, one of them's at first base. That foul line is mine. It's my call. So I get out behind the catcher, and I get down the line, and I'm watching that sucker, and I watch it, and it goes out, and I know it's a fair ball. You know, I can see that the foul pole's here and the ball's here, and I've got that call right, and it's a big call. Well, now this is about the same time that George Brett with the Kansas City Royals hit a home run and was called out because he had pine tar on the barrel of his bat, which was illegal. Didn't have anything to do with the flight of the ball or the distance it went, but it's illegal. It's the same time period as that happened. Well, I look out and turn around and look, and here comes Norm DeBryan, the Arkansas coach. And I'm thinking, well, come on, Norm. Man, I got good position on this. That's a fair ball. Left fielder knows it's fair. Third baseman knows it's fair. Catcher knows it's fair. Come on out here. Well, as I'm standing there, here comes the catcher, and he's on the bat. And I'm thinking, I got a little sick feeling in my stomach now. We're not going to talk fair or foul ball. We're talking something else. Well, in baseball, from the knob of the bat, 17 inches down, there has to be a ring around the bat. And you can't have any foreign substance beyond that ring. Well, this bat that the catcher's bringing to me doesn't even have a ring on it. It's illegal. Well, they come, and I'm looking at that bat, and man, I'm trying to make it legal because I know the fact it didn't have a ring on it had nothing to do with that ball leaving the yard. And just as the same as that Texas Tech series, I wasn't about to eject David Hall because that call in Texas was a blown call. And now here we're looking at this illegal bat, and I have to call him out and take 3 runs off the scoreboard against my good friends the Rice Owls. Well, I come to find out later that they had noticed that bat was illegal the very first game of the series, but they waited for the right time to use it. And that's your good buddies, the coaches. But anyway.